a first mention of the Manitoba border, and we're dealing with some tree conditions today. It's below zero, it's going to snow, and the wind is very, very strong. So we'll see how this goes. So I keep passing by these old farmhouses and wonder what they're like inside. So I decided that I would come and take a look at one. It's weird because you think like somebody built this and they lived in it, and now it's just empty and ruined. About what you'd expect.
Hello, friends. I'm coming to you live from Carlyle, Saskatchewan. Last night, saw one of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen. It was absolutely spectacular. I added some video and some images into the show, but it didn't really do it justice. It was unbelievably majestic. Almost makes the whole thing worthwhile. Just that one sunset. We've done 116 kilometers from Weyburn to Carlyle, through a bunch of small towns. Actually, the towns are getting a little bit bigger. They're still tiny, but a little bit less ghosty and more populated. There's oil here, so you'll see a lot of the pump jacks. Thanks, commenters, for educating me on the proper terminology. All over, and you'll see them in the videos. A couple of really nice towns. One of the things that you notice right away in around here is that all of the towns have really nice sports facilities. You know, they've got like a rink and a curling thing and baseball fields, nice gyms and everything. Like basically everywhere I've gone has had a really nice sports facility complex, even the tiny places. One of the last towns I passed through, called Arcola, also had a rodeo, which I took some video of. It was pretty cool. Not the actual rodeo, but the place where the rodeo is held. I missed the rodeo. It was in August, unfortunately. Yeah, and so it's been, in terms of the landscape, not as nice, I would say, generally speaking. A lot more of these pump jacks and kind of dirty, wet oil field kind of looking stuff, and a little bit less of the just fields of, planted stuff everywhere the eye can see. But there's still that. It's just that there's a little bit more. And we're starting to be a little bit of hills in the distance out here. We're close to something called Moose Mountain Park, which presumably has moose in it, which isn't surprising because there's a lot of like marshy spots around here. I haven't seen one yet. Although I did see this Instagram video of this lynx standing on its hind legs, and man, was that freaky. Like if you, I don't know if you'll be able to find it, because I probably can't either, but a lynx standing on its back feet, it's obvious like how werewolf myths and kind of the Wendigo comes about. Because if you saw one of those standing on its back feet out in the middle of the woods, you would be permanently scarred. Let me just leave it at that. It's terrifying. Anyway, where were we? There's no lynx around here, I don't think, but moose apparently. So this is a little bit earlier than I was going to do a video. By the way, we're only 3 days walk from the Manitoba border, which is going to be a big deal when we hit it, because the Saskatchewan part of this has been quite difficult. So there'll be some emotion, I think, when I hit the Manitoba border, which is great. That's only 3 days away, God willing. But a couple things have happened recently that are kind of like impacting some of the things that I'm doing. So I just wanted to share them. The first, which isn't that big a deal, but it's a little disappointing, is that I didn't make the cut on the X Prize competition. When I first heard this, I was quite taken aback, I'd say. But the way I was thinking about it then was I probably just missed something because I've been out of the field for a while and maybe I got something wrong or I just forgot I didn't do something obvious. But later in the day, I found that the actual official D-Wave team had not made the cut either. And the D-Wave folks are the smartest people in the room. Like they are absolutely top A plus. Everybody is kind of measured against them. And if they didn't make the top 40, they're shenanigans. I'm sorry to have to point this out again, but the quantum computing community has always been difficult to deal with for a variety of reasons. But this is kind of like an example of this, is that, the whole story isn't in, of course, and maybe again I've missed something, but it seems like the fact that this was sponsored by Google, and Google has a vested interest in a particular type of computing for quantum computing, and D-Wave is a competitor with a different style of computing, it just seems like there's not a level playing field with some of these things. And if you were to announce that the X Prize was for a specific kind of quantum computing, that would be fine. But instead, the way it proceeds, which seems to be always the case with these things, is that they kind of like, they pull a fast one. So they say it's for quantum computing, but then they don't allow certain kinds of things to pass, which gives the illusion that the merit-based stack rank excluded these other things. But that's not, I don't think, what happened here. I think what happened was the things that weren't lining up with the narrative that they wanted, they just knocked off. If it was just me, I wouldn't say that at all, because I'm just one person out of the game for a while. But the fact that they also didn't rank the D-Wave guys in the top 40, that's not right. And there's not much you can do about it, of course. By the way, this entire process is totally opaque. There's no review. There's no judges said this and this is why. There's nothing at all except a sorry, you're not going forward, which in and of itself is not okay. I understand that the people who make these prizes make the rules and they can do whatever they want. Okay. But this is not being transparent at all. And in fact, even the lead up to this, when they were constantly kind of like changing the rules, it set off a bunch of warning bells that this was not going to be a fair playing field. And I was hoping beyond hope that the field had moved past this kind of infantile behavior, but apparently it hasn't. I don't want to sound like sour grapes, because for me, I don't really care. For me, this was just like a passion project, and I'm going to keep doing it anyway because I think it's cool and I'm learning a lot. But the thing that really pisses me off is the D-Wave folks. They're good people. They're very smart. They're at the leading edge of all of this. And the things like this just bother me, because you never can point to the person who's responsible, because they're always hidden behind this opaque layers of, no one gets to know what actually is going on under the hood, which is kind of like the whole quantum computing field, to be honest. The whole field is kind of set up like this, where for some reason, a bunch of folks want to gatekeep it and keep it a certain way when that way has not worked. even this recent thing that was promoted in the news, the Google thing they call quantum echoes. Uh, okay, yeah, it's interesting, but it's no more interesting than the D-Wave result like a year ago. In fact, even the words that they're using are kind of obfuscatory, like it's reproducible. So is the D-Wave result. Run the same problem on the machine 10 times, you're going to get 10 times the same answer. So what? I mean, if anything, only highlights the stupidity of the previous quantum advantage claim, which was basically a bunch of random bullshit. Not that the claim wasn't correct, I think it was, but in terms of its utility, it was, let's just say, questionable. Anyway, I went way too deep on that one, but I do have some, let's say, not fully healed scars from the times that I was there, where it just seemed like the for whatever reason, the narrative that was put out by the community of researchers in this field is not actually matching the reality. And I think that maybe this might be an example of that again. But maybe I'm wrong about all that. Anyway, that was one thing. So I'm no longer in the competition. There's a chance, there was like a backdoor thing where you can get back in, but I'm not really interested to participate in like going forward. But I am going to still release the website, and I'm still going to release this challenge stuff. And hopefully I can get some traction on people trying it out anyway. So that's the first thing. The second thing, that was the bad news. There's good news. I had a very unusual opportunity present itself recently, and I'm not sure if all of the dots will connect, but I'm going to see if I can kind of take it to the next stage. And the long and the short of that whole thing is I'm going to have to cut the walk a little bit shorter than I was planning. So I was hoping for this phase to be able to push all the way to the border of Ontario, but I'm not going to be able to before it becomes far too cold, given that I have to take a break to pursue this opportunity. The break is probably a couple weeks just to see, if there's a there. But I'm quite excited about this. It could be a big deal. Could lead to nothing, of course, but I'm hopeful that there'll be something that comes of it. So I'm going to hit the Manitoba border, put in a couple more days, and the last day will be Halloween. And then after that, we're going to drive to Winnipeg and put the van in storage for overwintering. And Kelly will fly from Winnipeg back to our home base in Vancouver, whereas I'm going to go to another place, which will remain undisclosed, for a couple weeks. And then I'm going to come back to Vancouver somewhere around the middle of November. And that will put an end to phase 2 of our wonderful journey. I already miss it, even though it's not done yet. So this is not the end of the road for our crossing Canada. I will return to cross Manitoba, Ontario, and the rest. But it's going to have to be put on hold for a bit. So the next episode that I do, which will be episode 17, will be the last one of this phase, and will include us crossing the Manitoba border and maybe some Halloween festivities if we can manage to either find any or create our own, which might be fun. Let's see. So that's basically it. Wanted to give that update. Apologize for my D-Wave rant. I'm sorry. It's just having this happen over and over and over again is just taxing, I suppose. I keep hoping that field will have a reckoning when the whole thing is just going to be put under a spotlight, and like the adults will come into the room and say, okay, let's stop all of this bullshit and actually okay, let's talk about what's real. And it just hasn't seemed to happen yet. And it's unfortunate. Okay, so the song that I picked isn't particularly region appropriate, but it's been on my playlist since the beginning. And given this new opportunity, which I won't disclose yet, I thought it was an apt choice, not only for where my mind is, but where minds in general are. Okay. Yeah. So next time I speak to you, will be somewhere in Manitoba. See you then.